Utility Eskom has confirmed that Chief Financial Officer Anoj Singh has been placed on special leave. Now, this is pending an investigation into allegations that he granted preferential treatment to bidders supplying the state firm with coal. Singh has denied any wrongdoing. Now, CGTN's Angelo Coppola joins us in Johannesburg with more on this. Angelo, as always, welcome to the show. Now, what a lot of investors out there are wondering is why exactly the decision to suspend Eskom's CFO is coming only now, especially after the banks forced their hand.
Well, Uche, one of the investigative journalists on the so-called Gupta Leaks treasure trove says that some of the members of the Eskom board are heavily compromised, and the acting chair was specifically mentioned. He stood firm that Singh had done no wrong, and we were led to believe that the board had all the evidence to suspend Singh and chose not to. Certainly, when we were at the results presentation and it appeared then that the CFO was being hung out to dry, the board chair, the acting board chair that is, stood up and defended him. As to why Eskom only acted now, well, it's all about funding and governments. And the banks have an obligation, of course, to ensure that everything is above board because of the potential reputational damage to their own brand. It's unclear exactly what the DBSA, which is the Development Bank of Southern Africa executives, did say to Eskom, but it certainly had the desired effect. Uche?
Now, Angelo, they say this decision has now paved the way for the investigation to take place in a transparent way. So what next in terms of the investigation and certainly the future of the company?
Well, the future of the utility seems to be a little stressed at the moment, but there's no doubt that government will stand up to and help the utility and provide guarantees if and when they're needed. The new interim CEO, of course, has his job cut out for him. He has a slightly depleted board with a court case against disgraced Brian Molefe about to take off. There's an internal inquiry into his acting replacement, Koko, and now Singh's on leave, suspended. And late yesterday, the main opposition party here, the DA, laid criminal charges against Singh. In terms of Eskom and the investigation, well, we have had that preliminary presentation by those three NGOs earlier in the week in Parliament, and today we heard that Parliament will do their very best to ensure that they find the right resources to make sure that this inquiry actually continues on schedule. Their challenge, though, is finding an evidence leader, and it now appears likely that Parliament is going to have to look outside of the institution to find the right person, and that could take some time.
Now, Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba did admit that links between state-owned enterprises and the Gupta family looks bad for the country, especially to investors. Now, give us an update on what is happening with this family now, that gross misdealings, and what effect these gross misdealings have had so far, and what has been exposed.
Well, the short answer is nothing's happened. Since the first round of those Gupta emails were exposed, the only comment from the family the only comment that the family has made has been in the media, and that was in an interview with the family spokesperson around 10 days to 2 weeks ago. Otherwise, it's been deathly quiet. The emails and the investigations by those two prominent investigative media units continues afoot, though. In fact, Paulie van Wyk from the Scorpio unit at Daily Maverick, who broke Anoj Singh's Gupta paid trips to Dubai, told us this morning that the next story will be released over the weekend. She wouldn't go into any details, obviously, but it's sure to be as explosive as the other exposés, which promises, and there are lots more promises of more to come. So it's early days, but the family is battened down the hatches. They're not saying anything else, and which in itself speaks volumes.
Well, we'll be waiting for that. Many thanks, Angelo, for joining us. Angelo Coppola in Johannesburg.